think I find a love that's true. I fall right back to walk the floor and think of you. Once there was a time when I had everything, and once around my finger was a wedding ring. But like a fool I threw away the love we knew, and now alone I walk the floor and think of you. Walk the floor and think about the home we shared. The lonesome halls and empty walls are all that's there. So for now your memory will have to do. Each day and night I walk the floor and think of you. Walk the floor and think about the home we shared. The lonesome halls and empty walls are all that's there. So for now your memory will have to do. Each day and night I walk the floor and think of you. Every day I walk the floor and think of you. And every night I pray the Lord will see me through. Every time I think I find a love that's true, I fall right back to walk the floor and think of you. Once there was a time when I had everything, and once around my finger was a wedding ring. But like a fool I threw away the love we knew, and now alone I walk the floor and think of you. Walk the floor and think about the home we shared. The lonesome halls and empty walls are all that's there. So for now your memory will have to do. Each day and night I walk the floor and think of you. Walk the floor and think about the home we shared. The lonesome halls and empty walls are all that's there. So for now your memory will have to do. Each day and night I
What is Big D interviewing Kamala? Oh, man. She don't want any part of that after last night. She don't want any part of that after last night. We know that. That's not happening. As a matter of fact, I saw her team put out a statement after her team put out a statement after After the interview last night, they put out a statement. Let me just, yeah, this was it right here. This was it.
It was really tough. It was fun. I enjoyed it. It was definitely a different ball game, but I had a blast. So thank you.
Yeah, that was the statement that they put out actually yesterday. So, no. I'm not going to be interviewing her. That's for sure. Good morning, everybody. What's going on? Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Vermin Ator, new member to the YouTube. Appreciate that. Yeah, very nice. Thank you very much. Appreciate that. Becoming a member over there on the YouTube. We may actually start to do some member-only live streams and actually make you a part of the live stream where you can come on screen with me and ask questions and whatever, have some guests. Good morning, everybody. So that'll be some fun stuff, too. Wherever platform you're on, hit the like, subscribe. We appreciate it as we continue to grow the show, build the numbers. How's everybody doing? Good morning from Nashville. Vicky, good morning, good morning, good morning. Ronnie on Facebook, good morning. Denise from Thousand Oaks, California. Canada checking in. Jacinda, good morning. Just got home from voting. Yes, first day, North Carolina. Early voting starts today. Great job. Excellent. Excellent, excellent, excellent. Good morning, Ann. Good morning, everybody. Welcome on in. Welcome on in. Wow, more and more. Every morning I feel like this gets longer and longer, which is what we want. Hoosiers Unite. Very good morning. Massachusetts checking in. Colorado checking in. Moon Pie checking in, of course. Good morning, everybody. They're going so fast I can't even keep up. Dana, good morning. Thank you, Denise. Good to be here twice a day. Chilly, Florida. Wow, boy, it's chilly in New York today. I'll tell you that. It is chilly today. The heat's pumping. I was actually, man, it was cold enough this morning. I was actually thinking about getting that pellet stove cleaned out. This will be about the earliest I've ever turned it on. But I'm still not going pellet stove yet. I'm not giving in. I can't do it. But the heat is on. And in the studio here, I have a little, I have one of the things on the wall there that does air and heat, whatever it's called, split, whatever. I was almost going to turn the heat on that thing. 54 degrees. Well, you're doing a little better. Right now in New York, it's 47 with a high of 58 today. Tomorrow, 47, 46, 49. Warms up a little bit next week back into the 50s, so I don't know, maybe. Definitely chillier earlier than I remember. Yeah, 39, 32 in Wisconsin. I set it at like 70, and it just keeps the studio perfect, honestly. It's a little chilly in here right now. I could probably turn it on, but I refuse to give in to having to have the heat on consistently this early. So what's going on, everybody? We woke up to 37 degrees, Shadow's Daily Adventures. I could spend a whole morning with you guys asking what your names mean like that. Shadow's Daily Adventure. What are your daily adventures, Shadows? And is Shadows the name? Or is Shadows like your cat? And that's his daily adventures or her daily adventures. I want to know what these Moon Pie, what does that, I want to know where these names come from. Rock Lick Ranch. Is that an actual ranch? Because that sounds like a fun place. I want to know what these names mean. Tell me now. 44 degrees. Paul Nolan checking in on my texting. He's just texting me. I told Paul he could join me any morning. Let's see what else is going on. Hello, everybody. Welcome on in. Real Prince Doll. We know what you mean. That one's an easy one. Drag Blacker. Free all Nolan. I'll add the P for you. Paul Nolan. How is Paul doing? Paul's doing fine. Free Paul Nolan. How is Paul doing? When is the Kamala interview, Damon? I don't know. We have a request in. We'll see when it gets approved. I'm assuming, I don't know, 2029, 2037, something like that. Damon, did you notice the room Brett had was a brick wall? I mean, I obviously I saw it. I didn't like study it. I did notice his comments afterwards about her getting there late and trying to ice the kicker. I did see his comments like that. I mean, anybody has questions about Brett Baer, I mean, I had no doubts going in that he would do a fine interview with her. I mean, honestly, I think he pushed even a little harder than I thought he might. But his reasoning afterwards, I thought, was totally legitimate. Where you just can't, you can't let the person filibuster forever, or you're just going to get lost in the shuffle. So you got to at some point make the decision. I don't even know if I would have pushed as hard as he did. No, I do not. Actually, I do not. I think he's going to be part of. I mean, again, I know it's far-fetched, but not only do I not think he will resign to make her 47, I think he's in the. Well, I know the wife would do anything she could to tank the whole thing for her. Not that she's not doing that on her own. But no, I think Biden works against her. I think he's not so secretly trying to work against her. And we know the good doctor is. We know the good doctor is. If she could just come right out and say she's voting for Trump, she would. We've discussed this. Who Dat Nation, good morning. We have discussed these futures markets. I don't know how much stock I put in them. I just don't know. I don't know how the order books are set up. I don't know how much money that really represents to keep moving him up like that. I much prefer to see what the odds are at a Vegas sports book, like a real sports book that we know. We can kind of figure out what the numbers are. I mean, maybe it stands for something, I guess, but I don't know. Jill is pissed. Good for us. Could be. She's the first part you're definitely right on. She's definitely pissed. There's no doubt about that. No doubt about that. Yes, Polymarket has Trump leading. It continues to expand the lead. Yes, the good doctor. The doctor. It is Rock Lick Ranch. That sounds like a place I want to check out. Newsweek said Kamala dominated Brett Baer. Newsweek did, or one of their lefty opinion writers did? I mean, come on. I mean, of course, what are they going to say? I mean, right? I mean, what are they going to say? Go on and go, oh, geez, that was a bad idea. I mean, anybody with an IQ higher than 10 could watch that interview and know that she didn't have a great night. I mean, it just wasn't good. I mean, she's just not. I mean, listen, you can give credit to Brett for pushing her, having the right questions. She's just not, to be fair, if I'm going to even remotely try to be fair to her, I've been asked to be a guest on shows, and most of the time I decline Because honestly, I don't think I'm a great guest. I think I'm better now than I would have been a year ago. Because, and certainly I'm better now than I would have been 9 years ago when I started doing 6B. But I don't think I'm a great guest. I don't have because of our show, I don't get caught in the weeds of every topic. There's certain topics I could talk to somebody about, but I just don't think I'm a great guest. I don't have every little bit of every topic at the edge of my tongue. I have to prep. I have to prepare. I have to research. I do a lot of work to be able to do the show every night and do these things. So when I get asked to be a guest, sometimes I go, I would prefer not to be because I don't think I'm a great guest. She should just go by that. But she doesn't have a choice. She has to be a guest. She has to do interviews. But she's just not that good as a guest. She's not quick on her feet. She doesn't have a thorough examination or understanding or thorough reading of all of the topics. She's just not that good. We say we say she's not that smart. But obviously she's smart. She's failed up the ladder. But she's just not that good on her feet. And she's not when we watch Trump, I've said this for years. Yes, and I'm not running for president. Exactly, Kathleen. Exactly. I'm not. Oh, good morning. Do you want to join us? Good morning. Come on. My friend here wants to join us because he hears loud noises. Let me fix this. She's just not, Trump can go through all the different subject matter in and out of it without any real concerns about whatever the subject matter is. There's not much you could ask Trump that he's not going to answer or be able to talk about. Look at the Bloomberg interview. Hostile interviewer, and yet they went through all the different subject matter and he doesn't have a problem. She's just not that. But she doesn't have a choice. Like someone said, she is running for president, and it's okay, Tucky. And she's just not that good at it. But what's the left going to say when they watch that? They're going to say, "Oh, she was terrible." No, they're going to say, "Oh, she was strong. She didn't let him run her over. She pushed back. I'm looking at Jessica Tarlov right now on America's Newsroom, and she's trying to defend it. How great she was. What are they going to say? Of course, that's what they're going to say. Yeah, who needs Delgado when you have Tucker? Exactly, right? Such a good boy. He is a handsome guy, right? You're a handsome guy. So, take everything back to Trump and not taking responsibility for the last 4 years. Yeah, that's what she does, right? What's the one thing we took out of that interview? She hates Trump. What's the second thing we took out of the interview? She knows nothing but the first thing you took out of the interview. That's all she knows. All she knows is she hates Trump, and like all of them do. That's all they know. And the self-entitlement deal, it's like, lady, you were handed your vice presidency, and you were handed this nomination, and you think you're just don't have to answer questions. The self-entitlement kind of condescending, the eyes, the way she looked at him, the way she did it at the debate, the first half of the debate with Trump too. Like, you know, these faces like, what are you asking me this for? This is a waste of my time to even be here. Like those kind of things is what really comes across. She's just not likable either. That's the thing. She's just arrogant. Yes, exactly. Cat's B, arrogant and nasty. That's the way she comes across. Arrogant, nasty, entitled, like something's due to her. And Brett was right. If you just let her filibuster for an hour, then that's what's going to happen. And that's what she would have done. Absolutely what she would have done. So, all right, let's try to go through some things, even though I have my little man here on my lap. Crypto down a little bit. Bitcoin down 66,895. Ethereum down 25,98. And as we know, XRP, Litecoin, Bitcoin Cash, nobody cares about. This says pre-market. I must have to refresh this because obviously we're not in the pre-market. Let me do this. Let me refresh this. Okay. All right, so Dow Jones up 92 right now, 43,170. S&P 58.53, up slightly. Everything's up just slightly. We got initial claims this morning. Initial claims basically came in exactly where we were expected. I think it was 243 or so. Retail sales rose 0.4 in September, better than expected. So you had some news that at least wasn't a disaster, which is basically kind of where we're at. Like slight good news is good news. Treasury yields jump after better than expected retail sales, drop in jobless claims. I thought the jobless claims didn't drop. I thought they came in right where expected. Okay, 241 was the weekly jobless claims. I think the expectation was 243, so I guess down a little bit. You know, they try to use these like as painting the picture of a resilient economy, which I guess in economist talk maybe it is, but in real life, people living the economy, it doesn't seem resilient. It seems expensive, and the people living in it are getting less resilient as they continue to see prices stay high, energy extremely expensive, credit card debt continue to build, savings continue to go down. So we're in this weird place where good news doesn't really seem that good. Markets are not typically reacting to it. I mean, again, you're up slightly across the board in green. Crypto doesn't like it at all, down 66.8. Bitcoin was up to, I think, 68, 60 in the high 67s. So it's down 891 points today. I think everybody's waiting for the unemployment report before the next Fed meeting to see if the Fed's even thinking about cutting again or if they think they're going to pause. So there's a lot up in the air to see what happens. So we were talking on the show, I guess it was, we were talking on the show yesterday, and I think I said on the show at some point yesterday that I don't expect her to hold the blue wall. When we start talking about Michigan, Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, I think she could lose two of three. I think she could lose all three, but I think I would have no problem going out on the limb and saying I think she loses two of the three. I think she loses Pennsylvania. And I think she could lose Michigan. Wisconsin, I'm not so sure about. Well, on the morning meeting this morning with Mark Halperin, Sean Spicer, and the other guy who I don't know as well, they talked about kind of what they see anecdotally right now in the race and where they think she's in trouble, especially after last night. And here's a part of it.
My sense is we don't know. We don't know, for instance, in Georgia. And there's all this anecdotal stuff. When I used to work at ABC News, one of our executive producers would come in on election day and say, my dentist says he waited in line 30 minutes longer than he'd ever wait in line. Turnout is huge across America. All right. There's good anecdotal and there's bad. That dentist I never really credited. The anecdotal so far, I think, is mixed. And I know everybody wants to like read tea leaves and go to the betting markets and say Georgia's great for whatever. My view is we don't know, and we'll have to wait at least a few more days. Sean.
I would say this. I got more feedback on that discussion yesterday than I think any subject that we've had on. A lot of people showing me charts about the rural counties in Georgia, the number of votes that are coming from there versus the Atlanta and whatever. So I think that there's a possibility. And I did hear some anecdotal stuff of people outside Atlanta that live in neighborhoods that said all of my friends. And again, I don't view that or anything about sign waving or yard signs. But at the end of the day, I've also never seen such pushback from people on the right saying, look at the data. Now,
I know, yeah.
Part of this is going to come down to the campaigns know who they are. So you can live in a rural county and still be a Democrat. And I think part of what the campaigns and the super PACs are going to do is to match that vote with what the data says about that person. Who is that person? And we'll know more. But it is not as bad. At least there is a good narrative for Republicans out here.
There is. But we don't know, of course, are these votes that are otherwise going to be banked?
Right.
We just don't know who they are. Even if they're Republicans, you don't really know that that's a vote that makes a difference compared to the normal modeling. Dan.
Yeah, and I just think to follow up on Sean's point, I talked to people on the Democratic side. They're equally as optimistic, and they think there's green shoots in there for them.
Yeah.
And look, at the end of the day, Walz was there. Bill Clinton was there. Michelle Obama is now going to Georgia. Doug Emhoff is in Georgia, I think, for like the fourth time in the last 2 weeks. Clearly, Democrats see something there that they keep sending, big time surrogates to that state. So we'll just have to see.
All right. To that end, next topic. And again, we're trying to get through 2 more topics quick here, or 3. You have the reality of what I think is somewhat of a paradox, which is the blue wall path is still Harris's best path. But she can't count on winning all 3. She has enough money to play in all 7, so there's no trade-off choices. But from a strategy point of view and a 270 point of view, she has to assume there's a strong prospect that she must replace a blue wall state. And replacing a blue wall state requires more than one of the four Sun Belt states. You need 2 Sun Belt states, right, to replace Pennsylvania. So that's why they need to play in both. So the question is Harris best off, Dan, really just trying to win the 3 blue wall states? And to the extent she needs to make choices, particularly about her time, she's focused on blue wall, or is this scenario just as likely, maybe, that she's got to replace at least Pennsylvania, and therefore she's got to have a Sun Belt backup?
Yeah, sorry, fellow Democrats. I don't think the blue wall is her best bet, and I don't think she's going to go 3 for 3 there. So I think you absolutely have to compete in the Sun Belt. I think she has to win 2 of the 4, and she may need to win 3 of the 4, because I think it's possible she loses 2 of those 3 blue wall states.
Look, remember, all blue wall states aren't created equal either, right? You think about how big Pennsylvania and 19 electoral votes are. That's a big, big prize. If I were her, and again, it's obvious they took my advice yesterday on the Brett Baer interview. I would focus on North Carolina. I think there's concerns enough about Western North Carolina post-storm. Driving up your Charlotte vote might seem a smart move to play the odds.
Yeah, so my point in this clip was that part before Sean started talking. The Democrat pollster saying, I don't think the blue wall holds for her, which, let's face it, makes her road to 270 significantly more problematic if she can't hold the blue wall. And not only can she not hold it, does she lose all 3? Does she lose 2 of the 3? I would feel pretty comfortable right now saying there's a very good possibility she could lose 2 of the 3. So is she putting her hopes in picking up North Carolina and Georgia to replace that? I mean, I don't know what's happened in Georgia. I listened to this reprobate Jeff Duncan, who used to be the lieutenant governor there, all over CNN every night, trashing Trump as hard as he can. I mean, I don't know why the guy doesn't just switch parties at this point. I mean, it's absolutely ridiculous. I don't know what's up with Georgia. I just cannot see Georgia going for Kamala Harris. I just can't see it, but I guess it's possible. They think there's some possibility there. But I think the blue wall discussion is well, yeah, Kathleen, we think Georgia's not a blue state. We think that. That's the way it's supposed to be. But obviously they think they have some possibilities there, and they think they can focus on Georgia and North Carolina. But the blue wall discussion, I think, is very interesting. If she can't win all three, she's got a much tougher road. I don't see Kamala carrying North Carolina. Rose says, not sure. Post-storm has them all riled up down there. Well, how would that, I mean, I don't know what you mean. So that's positive for Trump or negative for Trump? How would that be a negative for Trump? He's not in the administration right now. Riled up. I would think they're riled up at the current administration, I would think is what you mean. Yes, I did see this story as well in Georgia. You've got, actually, that wasn't, where was the comment? That one might be true too. Where is the comment? I just saw a comment on the judge. Where did it go? Yes, here it is. Judge just ruled Georgia can't hand count ballots to make sure numbers match with the machines. You're right. So you still have judicial tyranny going on in Georgia. Positive for Trump, 46 administration is ignoring Western North Carolina for the most part. Right. Okay, that's what I thought you probably meant. Yeah, and again, you're hearing a lot of this. You heard this out of Virginia when early voting started. You're hearing it out of Georgia that the numbers are high. I wait on all of that. I really want to see somebody who knows, who really knows the numbers and how to dig into them, come out and tell me. I keep Michael, I think it's Prusser on Twitter is one who I know really digs into the numbers. He's not so sure on what Georgia represents yet, what it really means. By the way, this is an interesting point from the interview yesterday. Cenk from the Young Turks says, Democrats in D.C., including progressives, told me Joe Biden's legislative accomplishments were spectacular and he was the next coming of FDR. Then how come Kamala Harris isn't running on any of those bills? And that may be one of the more important points that came out of yesterday, is her definitive statement, which, I mean, I think she has to make, so she's kind of backed into a corner, that this will not be a continuation of the Joe Biden presidency. And again, I don't think that can make Joe Biden or the good doctor, that happy, which is, I think, why they'll actively work against her in the last 20 days here. But if you're Cenk and you're progressives over there on the left, and you're hearing her say that, you're thinking to yourself, well, all we've been told is the CHIPS and Science Act, the Inflation Reduction Act, all of these acts, all of his signing off, acting like he's running a monarchy, one executive order after another, after another, after another. How brilliant he's been, how policy brilliant he's been. And you're making statements that this will not be a continuation. Well, so which one is it? Have you all been brilliant for 3.5 years? Or are you trying to put as much distance between the administration you're currently a part of or not? Can't have it both ways. It seems like that's what she wants. Just a couple things I noticed, obviously. Scott Pinsker has a good piece over at PJ Media, the PR fallout. And by the way, his opening line is exactly what we said last night on the show. If Kamala Harris thought Bret Baier was tough, wait till she meets Putin. Exactly. I mean, people on the left who are like, oh, Bret was really mean. He was really out of line. The office of the vice president deserves more respect than that. I've heard all of these things. Meanwhile, I turn on the TV every Sunday morning, and every night you can watch some Republican going on some left-wing show. Why they do it, I have no idea. And they get met with the most disgusting rhetoric and pushback and positioning and language and but Bret Baier, she needs more respect than that. Well, every Republican that goes on a show, then you could say this elected official, they're an elected official. You could say the same thing. I don't hear the right complaining as much as I heard complaining about one interview that she did. Because she can't answer how many people is there anybody that actually thinks he asked any gotcha questions? What were the gotcha questions? Do you still support what you supported in the past? How many illegals do you think your administration has let in? That's a gotcha question? I mean, he's asking these questions. He already knows the answers. He wants you to say it. Between 11 and 12, 15 million. That's the answer. The answer is not Donald Trump. Donald Trump. Donald Trump. Donald Trump. Donald Trump. Did you supported transgender surgeries? Donald Trump law. Donald Trump followed it. Donald Trump did this. Do you support Donald Trump? Donald Trump. What are we turning the page on if you're 3.5 years as vice president? And Donald Trump's been. Donald Trump came out of her mouth almost in every answer within the first 10 words. It's almost like they can't say anything else. During the interview on Fox News, Harris found himself in a deliciously ironic situation. Their entire marketing campaign is predicated on the concept that they're not Trump. Whether it's Joe Biden, Kamala Harris, or Tim Walz, the Democrats' raised the tour is that Trump is a evil orange madman who will destroy democracy and checks mirror. They're not Trump. In other words, they're not asking the American people to vote for the Democrats. They're begging them to vote against the Republicans. From a marketing perspective, there's nothing wrong with that approach. Lots of products differentiate themselves via comparison. But when you live by comparison, you die by comparison. During that interview, the only two people who were on the screen were Bret Baier and Kamala Harris, and none of them were Donald Trump. Not Trump wasn't in the building. It was just Baier and Harris, nobody else. Viewers couldn't help but compare the two. It wasn't just that she was rude, unsteady, and off-putting, and it wasn't that she's absolutely incapable of improvising answers. Exactly, she's just not that good at this. When she's not 100% reciting a script, which is what she needs, which is why people who say she's going on Joe Rogan is laughable. She flounders about like a fish out of water. And that's a good description. That's what she looks like, a fish out of water. Let me be clear. Let me be clear. And then she does everything but be clear. Share this. People keep asking me, where are these articles afterwards? I don't know where to find them. You can find them all on our X. That's now been shared. A couple other things here. She looked absolutely awful, Ben Shapiro said. She looked contentious. She looked angry at Bret Baier for having the temerity to ask her any sort of serious question.
Alrighty, folks. So Kamala Harris just completed her interview with Bret Baier on Fox News, and it was, as advertised, a complete bleep show. By the way, if you like these reacts, if you want to see these things continue to happen in real time, we do need your help. You need to go subscribe, dailywire.com/subscribe. When you use code REACT, you get 35% off. We're going to keep bringing you these updates, not only in the election season, but well past that. So dailywire.com/subscribe, 35% off with code REACT. Okay, so on to the news. Kamala Harris. Wow. I thought it was not going to be great. I did not think it was going to be that not great. So listen, Kamala Harris has been avoiding difficult interviews this entire election cycle. The most difficult interview she did was with Bill Whitaker, and 60 Minutes chopped it up to make her look better. That did not happen with Bret Baier, and it was a full-scale disaster area for her. So he opened right off the bat by asking her about illegal immigration. He said, how many illegal immigrants have been let into the country under you? And she immediately swivels. She will not answer the question. She won't just say, listen, we blew it at the beginning. We reversed Donald Trump's executive orders. We got it right now. We understand the problem. That's Joe. That's not me. Right? That's the actual real answer. But she can't do that because she also wants to say that she owns it, that she was involved in every decision. Later on in this interview, by the way, she'd be talking about Donald Trump, and she would suggest you have to own everything your administration did.
Yeah, the opening question, and his reluctance to let her get away from it and how much time he spent on it actually could tell you right off the bat that he was not going to let her off the hook, because he pressed her on this certainly harder than she wanted to be pressed, as she tried to filibuster through an answer and tried to just talk gobbledygook when all he asked her for was a number. I heard people say, he started with a gotcha question. How is that a gotcha question? How many illegal immigrants do you think you've let into the country? That's not a gotcha question. Playing the clip of the mother, that's not a gotcha question. Actually, that's a great way. That's a great tactic if you're interviewing somebody. Have video clips ready and show them. I mean, I'm sorry that her team was standing on the sidelines, weeping and giving the cut sign. But, this is what a real interview, this is what happens. You have to be ready for what you've said in the past, things you've said, things your team have said, things your party has said, and the effect that it's had on people. So I thought he was right on having that video ready to go, having the Trump ad ready to go. Now, she has a war chest of money that she's spending, and she's complaining that he spent $20 million on that ad, she says. And it's her own words, sitting there talking about transgender surgeries. And I thought Brett had a great point about, you say you don't support all these things, and she says, I was clear that was 5 years ago. And he says, you picked a vice president 5 months ago, not even, which is the first big choice you had to make as what you would be making, decision-making as a leader. First decision you make is to pick a guy who, in one of the most radical states, who he's destroyed the state, signed all of what you're now saying you don't support into state law. So do you support that? I mean, it was just, you talk about the Titanic hitting the iceberg, man. I'm just shocked that anybody thinks that the two of them, Bret Baier and her, could leave that interview thinking that they did well. Here's a little more of Shapiro's reaction.
Well, lady, that's going to be a campaign ad, because it turns out people do not like what you have done. In fact, Bret Baier asked her, you keep saying, you're going to turn the page.
Yeah.
So Bret Baier's like, from what? You're the current vice president of the United States. You realize Americans, 79% of them, don't like the direction of the country. You're the current incumbent.
And what did she say? Her first words out of her mouth: Donald Trump's been running for 8 years or something like that.
He said, well, yes, but Donald Trump has been running. He said, well, yeah, but you're the current vice president of the United States of America. What the hell does Donald Trump running have to do with anything? No answer from her. He asked about Laken Riley and other people slain by illegal immigrants, and she tried to blame that on the failure to pass a border bill in 2023. Okay, but the problem is...
By the way, that border bill was an amnesty bill. That border bill still allowed up to, I believe, 2 million people to cross the border illegally. It may even have been more than that number. Maybe it was 1.8, 2 million, 5 million. I don't remember what the number was. But it was a pure amnesty bill that, again, Bret Baier tried to point out while she was trying to filibuster again. They held the presidency, the Senate, and the House. H.R. 2 is the only border bill that has passed the House. Chuck Schumer has sat on it for, 60 months, 4 or 5 years, 3.5 years, whatever it's been.
Is that the illegal immigrants were let in well before that border bill was even proposed to Congress. So it makes no sense whatsoever. He asked her about whether she would still be in favor of transgender surgeries for illegal immigrants and federal inmates. And she said, I will abide by the law. That's not an answer. That's you saying yes. That's you saying that you still would use taxpayer dollars.
By the way, the I will abide by the law. Did they abide by the law when it came to the border? Did they enforce the laws on the books? Did they violate the take care clause of the Constitution? Of course they did. Did they follow the law when it came to student debt where the Supreme Court said, no, you can't cancel student debt? Did they care? Did they follow the law? No, they didn't care. I will follow the law coming out of a Democrat's mouth, especially in this administration, is beyond rich because they do everything but that. So to use that as your excuse for not answering the question is honestly crazy, because when they see things in states in Florida or in red states they don't like, what do? They go challenge the law, challenge it in district court, challenge it at the Supreme Court. They challenge laws all the time. The Department of Justice, look at what they're suing Virginia right now for taking illegals off the ballots to be able to vote. Not because they don't want them to vote. They say, oh, it's supposed to be under 90 days. You're doing it under 30. No, they want them to remain on the rolls. That's what they want. It's election interference. But they challenge laws they don't like all the time. I'm going to follow the law, she says. That's her excuse. I mean, it's preposterously absurd.
To pay for all of those things. He asked her about the fact that she has been covering for Joe Biden's senility for 3.5 years. And instead of answering, she says, no, I've been in the room with him. I've been there the whole time. He's great. And by the way, he's not on the ticket. And Bear follows up. He's like, yes, but we can all see he's diminished. That's the reason you're here. And she refuses once again to answer the question. Man, she looked bad. She looked absolutely awful. She looked contentious. She looked angry at Brett Baer for having the temerity to ask her any sort of serious question. She's got to be super ticked at her team for suggesting that she do Brett Baer in the first place. And she's unwilling or unable to answer any question about policy at all in this election cycle. The only thing she's got, and everybody knows it, is Trumpy Trump, McTrump, Trump, McTrump, Trump. But here is the problem. The minute you dig below the surface, what you realize is that she is an empty vessel for the entire Biden administration agenda. And she's not particularly smart. She doesn't know her own policies well enough to make cogent and interesting distinctions.
And that's the biggest point. She's just not good at this. She's not good. She's not smart enough. She in the way that you need to be to do this public interviews, answering questions, be the president, go into the press room, deal with the press. Could you just imagine what this would be like for 4 years? You would never see her ever talk to the press. She can't do it. She would not be able to do it. She would not be able to take questions even from the phony press. So, yeah, I thought Ben, for the most part, Ben's, it's right on the money. Right on the money. I'm not going to go through the whole thing, but I'll share it. Glenn Beck has a really good piece today, real short, kind of a plea to the American voter. Standing on the edge of a moral abyss, America needs Trump. And it's just kind of like a final plea for why you need to get out and vote, why you need to take people with you, why you need to make sure we get as many people to the polls. If you can vote early, do it. And why, as we hit 19, 18 days here, let's get it together. Really good piece. Actually, did I share this? I don't think. Let me share this as well. All these are being shared on our X, because a lot of you always ask me, where was that? What you covered in the morning? Where can I find it? That's on X now as well. John Roberts. I don't believe it's the John Roberts of Fox, but a John Roberts today in the Washington Examiner. How Trump can close the deal. And basically what he says here, to break it down again, it's good article if you want to go through the whole thing. I won't go through the whole thing with you this morning here, but he says basically the economy and immigration are the top voter concerns this election. Consumer confidence declined last month. Inflation is still a red hot matter. To the Federal Reserve and economists, it may seem tame, but not for the ordinary Americans whose family spending on groceries soared $2,500 after a year under the Biden-Harris administration. A television, radio, and social media advertising blitz would drive home how well the economy fared under Trump's leadership. Trump's blitz should include more Spanish language ads, crime, and he goes through how President Trump can really close the deal. It's a good article. It's long, but it's good. I'll share this as well on our X if you want to read it. So there you go. And I think that's about it, folks. I think that is about it. So I'll see you tonight, 8 p.m. Oh, hello there again. You want to join us one more time? Come here. Okay. All right. So little guy is scared here, so I got him in my lap because he hears the vacuum going, which maybe you can hear as well. Thank you very much, everybody. Thank you very much, Raymond. Thank you. Yes, Tucker wants to say goodbye to everybody. Right. Okay, Lolly, you going to say goodbye to everybody? Say, I don't like loud noises, guys. I don't like loud noises. So... thanks for joining me. And I will see you tonight, 8 p.m. We have the Al Smith dinner live from New York City, the Hilton in New York tonight. It's always a good event. Kamala won't be there because she has no sense of humor. She has no ability to be funny. She's not self-deprecating, so she won't be able to listen to jokes about herself, like at least Clinton did when she sat there with Trump. You remember that? Remember the moment where he said, I saw Hillary backstage and she bumped into me and she said, pardon me. And of course, that was probably the line of the night. And she, to her credit, at least laughed and had a good time. And that's what it's supposed to be. It's supposed to be put everything aside for a night, show that you can be funny, show that you have a sense of humor, show that you can be self-deprecating, show that you can laugh at yourself. Stop taking yourself so seriously for 3 hours. Raise some money for a good cause with good people. Do a good thing, and then get back to hammering each other. She can't even do it. She won't show up tonight because she's not funny. She's not self-deprecating. She's a gold-plated, empty suit phony who has no sense of humor, no sense of self-anything. So she's deciding not to go. So, but Trump will be there, and I suspect he'll be, usually both candidates go is the whole point so they can talk about each other and joke about each other. So what he's going to do, I don't know. Maybe he'll still take shots at her or tell jokes about her. I'm not sure. Maybe he'll just give a regular speech. Whatever it's going to be, we will cover it tonight. 8 p.m. live from Studio 6B, Real America's Voice, and of course streaming here on all socials. So I appreciate you all joining me. And I'll see you tonight, 8 o'clock. Thanks, everybody. We'll see you then.